right after. And we're going to invite 6 companies of the CII Starred SMEs with our moderators to discuss on the topic SMEs achieving innovation, key success factors, and overcoming challenges in Hong Kong. Now I'd like to first of all invite our 2 moderators to the stage. They are Professor Dominic Chan, Associate Professor of Practice in Entrepreneurship, CUHK Business School, CUHK, Mr. Patrick Lee, of course, Convener, Smart City Working Group, HKGCC. Mr. Patrick Lee, please also join on stage as the moderator for this session. Okay, we'll first of all let our moderators to say a few words before we invite the panelists.
We're just waiting for the PowerPoint. So, can I have the PowerPoint? Okay, good. So, okay, welcome to the last session of today's presentation. So, we're going to talk about SMEs in this Corporate Innovation Index. So, I want to set the background and so set the tone for our discussion later. So, let's first quickly recap, right? We have 3 different constructs for our innovation index. So, there are resources, so company culture, market environment, organization resources. And then we have the enabler, which is why we want to convert the resources, right? So how do we do that? Well, leadership, digital transformation, collaboration, talents management, customer co-creation, and commercialization. And then we measure the output, which is what we call the value, business performance, intellectual outcome, business model enhancement. So this is just a quick recap. I think you've been hearing this all day today. Now, what I want to show you is also what are the weighting, right? Now, the interesting thing is this is the result from our expert panel. Collectively, we rank how important these 3 constructs are. And the result from our expert panel clearly says we put value as the highest weighting, and then enabler, and then resources. However, over lunch, when I was at my table, when we were talking to the SMEs, we asked them what you think of which one is the more important one. And without doubt, they all say enabler. Now, so there is a slight kind of, is it a mismatch? I don't know. But why our expert panel put value before enabler, before resources? And then SME actually plays more in enabler. Well, I think one of the reasons being Hong Kong is a more mature market if you look at it in any way, right? GDP per capita or our infrastructure and so on. So we already expect higher values or creation for Hong Kong overall because we are in a more mature market, especially if you are corporate. Of course, you already have output, right? You have just seen the 5 representatives. They all already have good result. However, from SMEs, including startup, right, that's maybe something we expect kind of like in the future. Maybe they will create value down the road. So therefore, it's very interesting. As expert panel, we put output first. So this is something that we probably need to adjust. And so this will also set the tone for our discussion because SMEs need different kind of help or encouragement. Okay, now, without showing you the actual numbers, I want to show you if we're comparing the top 20 corporate with our SMEs who have the stars, 1, 2, 3 stars. If top 20 corporate, if they are actually at this as an index, right, resources, enabler, and value, I'm going to show you from our research where the SMEs are. Well, for resources, they are slightly behind. Without telling you the number, this is show you is somewhat behind on the resources. However, for the enabler, they are even further behind when we compare the scores of SMEs versus corporate. And finally, value, which is also behind but is somewhat at par with the enabler. From this, right, so we can see that SME seems to need more help in enabler and value. But I believe if we can actually improve the enabler part, value will come. So today, we're going to talk more about the enabler. Now, So what are the areas of improvement or major ones, right? We have just shown you before the 12 sub-factors. So we identify the areas where the SME needs most help, and they are these 6 areas. So leadership, digital transformation, customer co-creation, commercialization, business performance, and business model enhancement. So these are the 6 areas we think SME would need most help. Seemingly, they are left behind from corporate. However, it's not surprising, by the way, but because they are a much smaller company. But let's talk about how some of our successful companies that is coming on stage in a minute, how they overcome these challenges. Now, I also want to quickly contrast the Global Innovation Index. Our Dean Chow, has mentioned this, and I want to highlight a few things. Well, first of all, the framework of Global Innovation Index is not dissimilar from our Corporate Innovation Index, because they group it as input and output, as you've seen before, and then they look at the conversion efficiency. They call this the innovation efficiency ratio. And then that would give you the Global Innovation Index. So let's take a quick look, right? You already know where Hong Kong is, but do you know where the other cities and countries are? Okay, so I apologize that these are rather small, but I will highlight it for your convenience. So this is the input. It consists of institutions, which is like regulators and other government departments. And then the human capital and research, so it will be institutions like universities and talent. Infrastructure, it will be transportation, utility, airport, and whatnot. Market sophistication and business sophistication, so how advanced your market is. And then they measure the knowledge and technology output and creative output. Now, I know you've already been reading the number for Hong Kong, so I will highlight it for your convenience. So as we heard before, Hong Kong doesn't actually rank badly. In fact, we rank highly. Market sophistication, number 2. Infrastructure, number 6. So we are doing okay on the input. But look at the output, however. Well, for knowledge and technology output, we are ranked number 60. We rank so high on the input. Why are we not also ranked high on the output? So there is something we're not converting the input efficiently. That's the key message. Now, okay, but we are doing quite well on the creative output, however. So that's an area we are strong at. Now, I'm not going to highlight our competitors or neighboring countries or cities, but as you can see, the top ones, they tend to do well on both fronts, input and output. So I would actually want to highlight another country where actually they actually, for example, I'm going to tell you Israel. Look at Israel, which is number 16 on the overall index. This is a country where the input is not ranked so high, but the output is actually ranked number 7, for example, on their knowledge and output. So there's something they are definitely doing right. So something we can learn from them as well. So this is very consistent with our finding on the Corporate Innovation Index in terms of our conversion is the challenge. So now what are these challenges? Now, today's focus, however, I would like to put more on the internal conversion challenge. I only include this external conversion challenge for our reference. So I'm not going to name them all. Maybe just highlight a few. Maybe technology transfer from university. Maybe the cost of operating business in Hong Kong. Maybe the availability of investment capital. These will be some of the examples of external challenge of conversion. But as I mentioned, I want to focus more today for our discussion, the internal conversion challenges, because that's directly from our Corporate Innovation Index. And they are, as I mentioned before, digital transformation. Now, it seems that our SMEs is a bit behind from our corporate counterpart. Now, I'm just speculating. One reason is that digital transformation is actually very costly. And if you're a big corporation, you probably can afford it, or you have a lot of customers to actually share the cost. But for a small company, having an expensive digital transformation with not as many customers, that would be quite challenging. perhaps. And customer co-creation, I guess, again, corporate probably have a much larger database, much larger customer base, and they can afford to do more customer co-creation. So maybe that will be the challenge for our SMEs. And then commercialization, how we can monetize or how we can convert ideas and technology into a business. And then leadership is another one that we mentioned. These are the 4 areas plus other areas where the SMEs seem to fall behind from then corporate. So today, we are going to specifically talk about the internal conversion challenge. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our SMEs to hear their story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us the framework and all the background. Now